everybody's having a good week so far. I just wanted to chat a little bit about the experience, the journey. Just hoping everyone's well, and if any of this resonates with you, please let me know in the comments. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments as well. But try not to get too critical. We're all here for very positive reasons, I hope. So, I just wanted to share a little bit. Usually, if you've heard any of my chats and talks, in this style video, it's basically based on intuition and my own experience. I don't claim to be a psychic or a medium or anything like that, but I do have very strong intuitions, but I haven't had them my whole entire life, so it's very new to me. Well, not that new, but I've had some things happen, and that's for another video. But as far as the journey that I'm on now, the awakening, I'm having much more. Veil is thinner. Supposedly it's also thinner for everybody at this time. But for me, the activation that happened to me last year has given me extra sensitive intuition and dreams and so forth. So what I present usually is just from intuition, dreams, and also experience based on talking to people that are also on the journey. So I'm just going to talk about the 3D person versus the divine masculine, divine feminine, and versus the 3D. So 5D, 3D, we all struggle. If you're on the twin flame journey, you'll probably find that some of this at least makes sense, or you relate to it. So for me, it's an embodiment of love that is presented to you, to both of you, by the way. Sometimes we think the more aware twin is seeing more and experiencing more. But they're just really experiencing it in a different way. And a lot of times that could mean it's more intense, yes, because it's more present, it's more in your awareness, your conscious awareness. Somebody put it this way, that the divine masculine, whoever you are, genders do not matter here. So somebody said that online, I don't remember who it was, that the divine masculine is subconscious and the divine feminine is like conscious. It's a good way of thinking of it. Anyway, this presentation of the embodiment of love causes soul activation. And then a stage that is called by many bubble love. I'm not thrilled with that term, but that is definitely explains it. There's a lot of love going on for sure. But yes, it is a reaction of being in love blended with being thrown around, lifted to the sky, and grounded like never before. All at once. This was my experience, and just also belonging, the experience of belonging like never before to the world and to your counterpart. A real belonging through the body, mind, and of course the soul. All of this is received differently, maybe by many. It's all, okay, but if it resonates with you, again, that's great. So it's a different experience for each counterpart as well. I am not really making statements of all divine masculine when I speak about divine masculine or the divine feminine. Any experience or behavior of the partners that I mentioned is just tendencies, characteristics placed on the feminine and masculine is a tendency based on my experience and observations, as I said. There are exceptions. So, usually the more awake partner, usually divine feminine, in my experience, is drawn to overcome fears and uncover old wounds after the bubble love stage. Whether that lasts for a couple of months, this all depends on how frequent your meetings are, if you have any meetings, if it's in the 5D, 3D that you're meeting your counterpart. It's very different for everybody. So usually, I guess, the first few months, I would say. It could be 16 weeks, first few months, 6 months, depending, like I said, how often you encounter them, or not. It could be in dreams. So it varies. It's very individual. But I never really heard somebody going through this crazy love stage. Crazy, I'd say in a very good way. Bubbly love stage for 2 or 3 years. That's all I'm really saying here. Or even 1 year. I haven't heard that. But I guess it could happen. Again, this is what I'm saying. This is very general information. But anyway, so old wounds, purging, and fears, and uncovering things about yourself that you never even might have known that were there. This occurs in order to bring you closer to your own self and your own soul. Even if you have been working on removing these blocks already in your life, sometimes remnants are left, and this often can be an ultimate purge. In my own experience, I used to and still do imagine my divine masculine with a shovel. The slightest comment or statement in the 3D or in dreams from my divine masculine would put me into a spiral, uncovering wounds and purging as if he had a shovel with him, and he just loved to dig. So yeah, sometimes if we're in conversation or if we're in intuitive meetings, astral meetings, however we want, however it happens, in our own experience, I've heard this, and it certainly happened to me, that divine masculine would say something, and it was probably general. It was probably just a general comment about something or somebody, and it just somehow, the words and the way it's said to you, it just could go deep down inside, and you start unraveling all these things coming up, like, for instance, I don't know, he could say, well, that person is a very tall person. And then I would react like, oh, why did he say that guy was so tall? Was he really that tall? Oh, you know what? My uncle was very tall, and he was kind of mean. Oh, I remember that incident when I was a child, and he said something very critical, and it went then to my aunt, and my aunt told me about all this criticism that I was receiving as a child before I even remembered, and so on and so on. Do you know what I mean? Just goes very deep when all the guy said was, this guy's pretty tall. So this is just an example, but they have a way. That's just what I'm going to say. They have a way to get to you. Triggers, So, also talking to divine feminine timelines vary. Everybody goes through these emotional highs and lows, purges, shedding ego. Some people seek help, though, in therapy, which is not always effective. Can be, of course. But sometimes if a therapist happens to not know anything about the twin flame journey, it could get a little sketchy at times. Again, be careful, be selective. If someone is judging the journey or discounting things that really mean a lot to you, I would just proceed with caution or not proceed. So just be careful, and who you talk to, because not everybody is familiar with this, and there's no blame. It's just experience, So, and then some people seek psychics or meditation, and for others, actually they do it all by themselves, and they don't have help, and they don't even have too many friends they can reveal this stuff to. Maybe they'll be judged, So, in that case, sometimes, And then I heard this about the divine masculine, sometimes being the male part of the counterpart. Again, not genders don't matter. They don't matter at all. But the male energy. Sometimes they will avoid the difficult part of the journey, which is also subconscious, not as, prominent. They are basically in the matrix, so to speak. And so they kind of ignore it. And sometimes it comes out of behaviors, like they may suffer from depression because something is buried, something is repressed, They might have more depression. They may seek, alcohol, maybe some kind of, to numb things that are going on. Maybe they'll even have some extra relationships just to soothe, some confusion that they have. Or I get that they may have a vague sense of something that's going on. Something is triggered, but it's vague. It's not. Sometimes it's not as clear as what it is, as it is with the Divine Feminine. That's why a lot of times the Divine Feminine, what they go through is more acute. It's more current, and they experience it firsthand, really, like very real stuff going on. With the Divine Masculine, sometimes it's like they're a distance away from it, and they don't really know how to deal with it all the time. So they don't. This is, again, a generalization. Many Divine Masculines do confront. They have friends. They have people to confide in. It varies. So the one who's in the matrix going about their business, not really, they sense that things are different somehow, and these different feelings set them on their own path of recovery. Also, healing their own issues, and often can't decide to make changes in their 3D life. Leaving a job they couldn't stand for so long, changing jobs, asking for a promotion that they wanted to ask for years, demanding more from life and from people, perhaps, and they go forward. And they still stay basically in the matrix. A lot of times the people who are watching these videos and meditating, often they're Divine Feminine. So they are, in the matrix still and wondering, but they do at times wonder what's going on. Perhaps they receive synchronicities. Sometimes they have a strong feeling of emptiness. Sometimes they have a longing for the person who triggered them in the first place, who caused the activation. The person that he met, his twin counterpart. Maybe he doesn't know why. Maybe he feels attracted very much to this person, and somehow they stand out from other people he was attracted to. So, something more stood out, like a signature all of its own that he cannot place. So, this may be accompanied by dreams as well. I've spoken to Divine Masculine who cannot stop dreaming of their counterpart. So, so the Divine Masculine could be, also I wanted to mention that as they go on this way, Divine Masculine could be in other relationships at this time. So can you, meaning you, the Divine Feminine, can also engage in other relationships. So I just have notes here. I am reading from my notes a little bit here and there as guide. But we're both living in the 3D, so of course relationships are a possibility. So I do know that it's different for the Divine Feminine. In my knowledge here, it's like they're saving space for Divine Masculine.